6:31 now. We will call to order the Board of Health meeting for the 21st of March already. So we will make it to hit this. All right. The first on our agenda, now that we're live and in person, is the approval of minutes for March 7th. If there's anybody who had any comments, looks like we had everybody here. Most people were here for the meeting, so I guess got the attendance for it. Any questions, any comments, edits?
I just have like a question about the first, for not the motion, the planning board request for comment site plan. And it says the board last saw this project at its December 17, 2019. Was it December 17th or November 19, 2019? I'm kind of confused because the older notes said November 19th.
So I think you saw it one more time afterwards, and when we presented in front of the board, we didn't have record of that meeting, but then later went back, and then that was when I found that memo that mentioned the mosquito mitigation and the correspondence with the applicant and how they came in front of the board. So that realistically was the last time the board had seen it, so it was just an update reflecting that information.
Okay, so it is December 17th. Okay,
Correct.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? That was it, right? It's a short one. Anybody want to make a motion regarding the minutes of March 7th meeting minutes?
Make a motion for, regarding the minutes for March 7th, 2023 meeting. The board has no additional comments or changes, and approve the minutes.
Right, motion made, second?
I'll second that.
Very good, motion's been made and seconded. Any other comments? Then we will vote. Rachel?
Aye.
Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
And myself, 400. That's everybody, right? Yep. Okay. Next is animal permit for 76 Allen Street.
So we don't believe we have a representative from Allen Street. However, it's a permit for 3 chickens. The animal inspector went out there and gave a good report. The setup is all set, as well as we received all of the abutter notifications here at the health department within the right, proper time frame as well.
Where's the?
There was no issue, they had the manure plan, they had everything they needed?
Yeah, manure plan, they plan on composting. They have the coop, the plan on the file, and then the abutter notifications.
So all the abutters know objections?
Yep, and they were made aware of the date of this meeting here today, so if they chose to come, they had that information available to them.
Cool.
Is now a good time to mention, Melissa, that, so we didn't put the packet for the animal permit in here because it's a lot of information and we sent it through the email, so we didn't want to keep
That's fine.
printing everything.
No, it's good.
So we didn't know how you guys wanted.
Moving forward, I guess, and we can discuss even afterwards, what the board would prefer. Obviously, we try to preserve paper, and we email it. But again, if it's something where the board likes a hard copy when we meet in person, or whatever you prefer, and we can always pull it up there if we need be. So, and we can always pivot if, we start away, and then you feel like you want, documentation to write on.
Yes, right,
Okay.
exactly. Yep, this is exactly what I like, the packet to be mailed to me because I like.
You
to
like
write,
the
you know,
mailing.
Yeah.
So do you want to continue having your, and then the rest of the group is fine with getting the electronic copy? Do you still like to have it in front of you here, or you're okay with having it
Up
up
here
on?
would be great.
Okay,
Yeah, this
Okay.
is pretty
perfect.
very nice to see.
Okay,
You
awesome.
want just the agenda and that you can take notes if you want, or
Would be
does it
definitely, yeah.
matter?
I think agenda would be great, yeah.
Okay,
I'm on for
That's
saving
easy.
paper, so whatever you
Perfect.
want to do, I'm good.
Okay, very good.
awesome.
So, everything was in place, no issues, 3 chickens, no roosters,
The
hopefully.
chickens.
The odds. Right, any comments or concerns about the animal permit? Entertain a motion. They want to make a motion regarding the approval of the animal permit for 76 Allen?
I'll make a motion. In regard, I don't have the information in front of me, so what's the name of the applicant?
Right, yeah, so, yeah.
Animal, okay, so in regards to the animal permit 76 Allen Street, the Board of Health grants the permit, based on the, animal control, investigator, do we have one?
Inspector, yeah,
Inspection-
sure,
inspector?
our inspector went out, yes.
Oh, okay, so we have the, town of Walpole has
We
their
do,
own?
correct,
Oh, okay, so
yes.
we're not borrowing Norwood's.
No, so we have, a collaboration with Norwood, so we do, it's a shared
Oh,
service.
so it is the inspector,
Correct,
Norwood
yes.
inspector, okay,
Yes.
but we don't have our own, like, you remember, like?
Well, so it is our own, so it's a shared service. So originally we had John Spillane and they had Henry in Norwood. And then, once John retired, we joined forces. So we do have, a point person for just Walpole, and then
Is
they
he
have
on the
someone.
payroll, the Walpole
So,
payroll?
so yeah, it's a collaboration. So funds are paid forth by Norwood as well as, Walpole.
What's his name again?
So we have Henry and then Jackie.
Okay.
All right, motion has been made. Do we hear a second?
A second?
Motion made and second. Any other comments? And we will vote on the approval of permit, the animal permit, 3 chickens, 76 Allen. Rachel?
Aye.
Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Fine.
Also, we wish the applicant best of luck. And next on our agenda is lifeguard variance for town pools, assuming our town pools.
So I'll just pull it up for.
It's touchscreen, that's it.
I know, this is fancy. Move it up. You know, I wanna touch it.
So this is the standard variance that the town pools does every year. So the town of Walpole has a regulation that you need to be, for lifeguards, you need to be 17 years of age. However, the state law is 16 years of age. So the Walpole pools, they ask that they get a grant variance to be able to have lifeguards who are 16 years old, just because it is difficult to find lifeguards, as well as having the stipulation that there is always at least someone who's 17 years old on staff as a lifeguard at all times.
We never had any issues with Cheryl Rate.
Oh, Cheryl's great, yeah.
No.
She is the aquatics director for the town, and she manages all the lifeguards, and she's very present at the pools and trains lifeguards very well.
She's used as a consultant in a lot of camps as well. She's very good. But it's not written in here that there's going to be someone 17 on?
So that would probably be made in the motion. So Mona's motion last year with the board, it said that it was put in the motion that as long as someone 17 years of age is on site.
I just,
Certified 17-year-old that's been certified, that's.
Yes, has all they still need to have all the certifications, like the American Red Cross Lifeguard Association, they need to have the certification through that.
I have 2 lifeguards in my family, my kids, and I know what they've seen, and I know what can happen, and things do happen. And kids are kids, and 16 is right on that cusp. So I think
So they,
having a 17-year-old is perfect.
So they will always have someone who's 17 years old there.
No, I think that's great.
But they won't necessarily be a lifeguard?
No, so it's to allow a 16-year-old to be a lifeguard, with the stipulation that if they have a 16-year-old there, it's not all gonna be 16-year-olds. There would be at least lifeguards that are fitting the state regulation, which is the 17 years of age.
Okay.
And there is a shortage. They're desperate to get lifeguards everywhere.
And they still have to get the proper certifications, they still have to meet the proper ratios of how many lifeguards per swimmers.
So it says right here in the bottom, the operator shall provide 1 or more lifeguards 16 years of age or older, or did you mean like 17 years? Like we're gonna make it a requirement again, as every year, that we need at least
That's the
a
state.
17 years old?
Yeah,
They're
that's the
citing
state,
the
that's the
state.
state reference. So the state requires be at least 16 for everybody.
Okay.
So it's just Walpole has a regulation that requires to be the age of 17, and the board just made the motion in the past that even though they're asking for it, that you would put in place that there has to be a 17-year-old that is CPR, that is licensed to be a lifeguard present.
Hopefully we can get enough kids for it.
And she wrote down on the bottom that the American Red Cross trains and certifies lifeguards at the age of 15, so that's pretty young. But,
Are there any issues last year for having someone 17?
This has been a long-standing variance request, and we haven't had any.
I mean, like issues like
Unfortunately.
actually having someone that's 17 years old.
No, having someone on site that's 17, no, so they never had to close the pool or anything like that because they didn't meet the requirement, so.
I would say like with, and I've heard there's a lot of challenges that they should keep us in the loop if they start having
Sure,
issues.
sure. Yeah, Cheryl's very transparent and visits the office frequently, and we have good communication because the pools are in such close proximity, and it's pools that we inspect routinely.
Good.
Yeah.
she's been running that pool for like forever, right? Like,
Yeah.
for so many years.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion regarding the Town Walpole pool lifeguard variance?
I'll make a motion in regards to the lifeguard variance town pools. The Board of Health grants the variance, under the condition that there would be at least one 17-years-old lifeguard, present at all time.
Very good. We are second.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Any other comments? Then we will vote. Rachel?
Aye.
Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
And I. So 4-0-0. The variance continues past that. And last on our agenda, goes on time, Planning Board definitive subdivision. Was this a request for comment? Or just,
So this is a part plan that we did see at our February 7th meeting. So I'll just pull it up just for a refresher for everyone. So this was a subdivision, and it was the subdivision of 2 lots over on West Street. So there's the existing property over here, and then here they are subdividing it. The board did vote on their, that they were not in favor of the subdivision because of the impact on the wetlands. We were contacted by representatives from the property, who are here today to just discuss that motion with the board.
Sounds good.
you guys are representing the property?
Yeah, just,
For
no,
the
no,
record,
not even
I'm
full back,
Scott
just portion
Anderson,
of the
Anderson
side, like, closer to
Consulting,
Jen.
project civil
Yeah,
engineer, just stepping in as our legal counsel, Phil Mackey, and the applicant, Mike Freiberger, in the back there. So as was stated before our first meeting with the planning board, I believe that was February 16th, we received a letter from your board expressing concern about the project with relation to the wetlands located in proximity to the road and around the new lot that's created as part of the subdivision. The planning board asked us to come in, and we wanted to come in and just sort of hear with some more detail your concerns. We understand and expect that if the project is executed, we have to go through the typical processes for permitting projects within a buffer zone, the wetland resource area, through the Conservation Commission and the DEP, subject to both the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw. So I guess we just wanted to hear in more detail from the board, what your concerns are, so we can more, aptly address those as we continue through the process with planning and conservation.
We impose terribly on, just to kind of give us another visual of where the properties are and what the separation is? Please do, yeah. Easier for you than us trying to.
Touch it, it's a touch screen, so you can like,
can touch it.
yeah,
Yeah.
touch it.
It's all wheels too, so move it however you need to.
This is part of the test.
Yeah, I was
No
on-
pressure.
So the outer perimeter here is effectively the existing parcel. The house that's shown on the east side of the property is Mike's existing house that's there now. It's accessed via a driveway that runs down. Runs down what will be the proposed roadway, and the driveway goes around this side, just to the south of the wetland peninsula here, and around to the house. What we're effectively doing is taking that existing driveway. We showed on a plan to the planning board that we could, by right, and without constraints, construct a full subdivision road. We don't want to do that, that's not the intention, that's part of the plan set, just to show you can do it by right. And then we produced a more sort of friendly plan with respect to disturbing the property that slightly upgrades the driveway to a 20-foot width. That's a requirement from the fire department. No more additional pavement than that. And at the end, a hammerhead that will provide continual access to Mike's house, and then a theoretical stub to this new lot that will be created. Just large enough to be able to turn around a fire truck. Again, what's driving that impact is emergency vehicle access and safety. So what we're able to do is sort of pull that limit of disturbance. It is within the wetland buffer as shown in the plan, but it's not within the wetland itself. And worth considering is that this project is a process by which we're trying to remediate an issue that this lot has with the lack of legal frontage on West Street. So the sliver of frontage here that exists is the exact width of this roadway, but it doesn't provide enough frontage to make Mike's lot compliant. This is creating a paper street that creates two lots, both with compliant frontage. You can't create a subdivision for one parcel, so there has to be a second, which is why this exists. We understand this is a heavily encumbered lot. It's very wet. It does have the requisite upland to meet zoning requirements, so it is a zoning compliant lot. But from a physical development perspective, it's challenging. The intent now is not to build on that. This is really just a process by which we're going through, proving that we have two lots, creating frontage for Mike's parcel, and making that cleaner from a zoning perspective. The covenant that we're developing with the planning board requires that if we choose to attempt to pull a building permit for this lot, we have to go through the full process with every board for all the encumbrances associated with those wetlands. File notices of intent, come to your board for a compliant Title V system, which is a hurdle that I'm sure you can see here. So we're in a position where we're getting through the planning board, establishing the subdivision, but stopping once that's done. If physical development's gonna happen, you're gonna see a lot more detail, a lot more plan work from us.
So this plan, again, was within the wetland? It wasn't like even within the 25-foot buffer?
So the
zone, right?
green noted that Megan highlighted, that is the actual wetlands.
It's inside the wetlands.
Yeah, that roadway layout shows it extending into the wetland, but that's just the property line for the limit of the right-of-way. The current, can I switch sheets from my plan set on this? Is that possible?
You
You could do it, yeah.
It's basically a computer, so you can look at, you can go on your email or
I think that's the
something.
only plan that we have, though. You can zoom in on that, though, if you want.
So are you basically saying you're only gonna
For a second.
Yeah.
build one?
I think that they're just.
So is
bringing
he
it
just
up.
building on one lot?
The wetland.
Is the wetlands,
Allow the
it's no
25, the
buffer,
100, none of
no,
that. That's-
no.
Is he building on one lot, not two?
Yeah.
He's actually not building at
He's
all.
renovating
Right.
his home.
Correct.
Got it.
Okay.
This is obviously way harder to see, but,
I was gonna say, feel free to bring it if you wanna bring it up.
That would be actually.
so this is the plan and profile. Effectively, what's being proposed and what is going to be presumably approved by the planning board is what's effectively a beefed up driveway, so it's 20 feet wide, and then a paved hammerhead. The wetland line is this dashed line here, and we're not showing any work other than grading within the 25 and
What
no
is this right here?
pavement closer.
What is that circle?
This is what will be the Bruin Court right-of-way, right? So that's a roadway boundary. It's basically the property line for the road.
So it's not actual
It
construction.
exists on paper, there's nothing
I think that's the
associated with that.
confusion on our end.
Yeah.
We thought that was.
Right.
So where would the
Yeah,
property?
it
Yeah, it
shows
doesn't
that
cul
going
de
in,
or something,
Yeah.
but it
okay.
doesn't mean it's there. I mean, you can look at old maps around town, you can see whole paper streets running right through
Right,
wetlands,
right.
If that
Yeah.
line work is there. It's nothing but a-
Yeah. To us, it looked like a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Right.
So, so what we've done is we showed that we could in theory build a full paved cul-de-sac, big 120-foot diameter paved, dead end, and then we're proposing something that doesn't actually require any physical work in the wetland.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
If I may, Scott, because the ladies on this end had some very valid questions, and it's a little confusing. What we're asking for tonight is basically your support for the subdivision, because that's what the law requires us to get. And unless you say yes, then we're gonna have to keep coming back and talking to you, which is absolutely fine. What we're also hoping is that you're going to support, hopefully vociferously, our request for waivers. This is a little unusual because we don't want to build a single thing. Left to our own devices, if the planning board allows us, because clearly that board has the final say as to how much they require or don't require us to construct. Mike's house is already there, Mike's driveway is there. We don't want anything to change, and that's what we're requesting from the board. We do have to show a subdivision that works for 2 lots. As Scott said, the second lot that we're creating, it perfectly conforms to zoning. On paper, it's a buildable lot. You guys see probably more septic systems than I ever have in my life. Just looking at that, you already know that, you never say never, but we're pretty close to that on that second lot. And so what we're asking the planning board for is, unless or until that second lot is actually in front of your board, conservation, et cetera, to be built on, that we leave everything just the way it is. So we would go through the permitting process, we would have a valid plan, we would put it on record. Mike gets the privilege of paying taxes now on 2 lots. We're well aware of that. We would pull a covenant with the planning board in the town of Walpole that says the subdivision can't be sold off unless the work is done, and then we stop. There would also be, just to get you through all the administrivia, another covenant with the town of Walpole saying the road will stay private in perpetuity unless it comes back in front of everybody's boards to be built as a full subdivision road, which again, you've already kind of picked out, if we really did build a cul-de-sac right in the wetlands. So, again, you never say never, but cost prohibitive and common sense says this is never getting built. And
The current driveway, your current driveway is through the wetlands already, correct? Is that,
Not through, it's on the fringe.
it goes below that green? But, well,
Yeah.
it's within the 25, let alone the 100 that we are always.
Definitely in the buffer zone.
There's a section here that flirts with the 25
Yep.
on this side, but for the majority of it is so tight to this southern boundary.
And that's gonna
This lot
remain,
here
the
that's-
driveway remains.
That's our goal.
And the fire department has approved leaving the driveway as is, as long as there's no other house built. So effectively, Mike is paying us to do a full design for a subdivision that will never be built.
And this is all done to be able to have that frontage that's obviously
Right,
outside
so-
of our purview, but there's a reason for it, I'm sure, and I'm not
There
gonna
is,
ask.
and in total transparency, Mike owns a much larger piece of land, because there's another 5, 8 acres off to the side.
6-ish.
6-ish, okay, it was
Close-ish.
between 5 and 8.
Can't remember.
That's not shown on this plan, because we're trying to separate it. Mike's running his nursery and his agricultural business out of that. We could just put the whole thing under agriculture and say he lives on his own farm, because you're allowed to do that under Mass General laws. But we don't really want to. And we think both for his own personal desires and the neighborhood in general, it's best to keep the business off on one side. There's a huge wetland in between, so you can't connect the two. So basically, to the top left of your plan here is where that business is going. And to do that, we need to be able to make a conforming residential lot that doesn't have any business on it. And the only way I can do that is by making a paper subdivision to make it a legal lot. And that's the whole story of how we got here. And, you know, no one really wants, Mike or his neighbors want the two to be commingled. We'd rather keep the business up. And if you look at it where it is, it's even further back from the neighbors, further back from the road, less impact on everybody, it's better location. But to do that, I've got to do a little bit of a waltz here to end up with a legal
All
house.
for one house.
That's, yes. The alternative would have been go to the zoning board to get a variance, and that's just not gonna happen. So,
So
here we
what-
are.
What would be the future plans, though, like after you,
For?
go for this subdivision?
He wants to live in his house.
Yeah, the idea
That's
is
the
that,
future plan. Someday he'll retire and sell his house to somebody else who wants to live there. I'm not trying to be,
so there's more property lines now.
Yeah.
There's a paper street, there's 2 lots, but it's all the same as what's there now, physically.
yeah, so
it's
basically,
Just to be
if,
able to separate the 2
And if he sold it, that person would have to come
Do,
do the board the same way.
Right.
It stands for property.
Yeah.
I mean, if our plan goes as presented, Mike will have a two-lot subdivision. It will be under covenant, and he won't be allowed to sell one lot or off by itself. He has to sell the whole thing. So effectively, until such time as we come back in front of your board and conservation and planning to finish the process to actually build, it's effectively one lot. It's really a road and two lots. And if you think about it a little bit, you're not allowed to build in the road. So anything in that cul-de-sac, especially where it's in the wetlands, I mean, you now have protection on protection. Because the building inspector is gonna look at the lot lines, even though it's totally internal, and that's where setbacks are. So you can't build in the road, you can't build in a lot of places that currently, arguably, you could.
And the house is far enough back, so that's not gonna touch the wetland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all already there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So there won't be any actual construction.
No wetlands.
that'd be,
well, there will for that house.
No,
The house is there.
built.
Oh, the house is already built? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I thought you were gonna renovate it.
There's literally no
Oh,
construction
God.
involved. There is no construction involved, unless the town makes us.
We get to a point of approval and all goes as planned, you'll never see anything different there than what's there today. It's all on paper at the registry.
Like, you'd be amazed, all the plans that we see, like, people are getting closer and closer to the
Yeah.
wetlands, and we expected that, like, one day, we're gonna come in and people are gonna be like building we're gonna be inside the wetlands,
Yeah.
and this is our major concern.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys taking the time to do
Yeah.
that. That's,
yeah, absolutely.
that definitely clarifies things for us.
Absolutely.
But-
Any other questions from anybody on the board or the Board of Health or anything? No? Okay. Now, would we have to do a
Amendment to the
motion
motion.
to clarify? Okay.
Yes, definitely, then we'll submit that to the planning board.
Great.
We can do so, that'll work. So we'll make a motion regarding the subdivision request at 965 West Street, so-called Bruin Court. The Board of Health appreciates the time for our participants to come in and explain in more detail what the plan is and the reasons behind it. And with that additional information, the Board of Health removes our objection and we would say support at this point. It's either support or.
We have to either, support or
So we would
deny.
Should we mention that the information that was brought to us does show that there is no construction in the wetland?
There will, absolutely. So we would support this, knowing that the construction as described is not in the wetland, and the additional lot would require them to come in front of us to discuss and propose future builds if that ever came upon. Does that sound good? Okay. Any other comments, additions? Forget something?
No.
No? All right. It's motion made and seconded,
I'll send-
and we will vote. Rachel?
Aye.
Stefan? Aye.
Aye.
And I also, 400. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and best of luck with it. Sure.
Good luck.
Always a interesting thing. It is true, we
Or did I go back and?
had to go right to the rejecting building, but there's reason behind it.
This is
Just
the-
that
There's
looks,
a lot
it
of
looks
money
like it's a
to
cul-de-sac.
provide a
Right, it
lot
looks
for
like
nothing.
They're happy.
You know, I wonder,
So, one thing at that green was the buffer zone, but that's the wetland.
right, for the driveway?
Just seems like it's gonna be hard. Taxes.
Yeah, it's gonna be very hard.
Yeah.
I don't really get
Sounds
that.
good.
It's just more feelings than law.
maybe like,
20, I mean, I
subdivided
had,
into two separate lots, maybe one of the developers, he would sell it to one of the developers
Maybe,
and get the developers to hire a company and
Yeah.
show that, you know.
But they can't sell them separately.
And you will give them the same
I
approach.
mean, when I sell, I had two
That's what he just said, you couldn't sell them separately, he has to sell them together.
Yeah, sure.
I grew up in the
So which
house,
is good.
with you
And
know,
taxes you still pay.
I don't want anyone building
Yeah.
or making
Any,
it in there.
Any other discussions about this or others?
Yeah, true.
No? Well then, if that is all we had on our agenda, if there's anything else.
That is, so no, so next meeting, well, if we stick with the first and the third, it would be April 4th, and it would be held remotely at 7:30 PM.
I will likely not be here on that.
It's understandable, Stephen.
Where are you going?
That is the due date, so.
And that's the
I will
due
not
date.
be here.
Wow.
Oh, yeah?
Lucky day.
My daughter was born
That
April
is a good
7th.
day.
You push it, you know.
The 13th was our first daughter, so we're all
I had something going on.
Then the second one we said would be the 18th,
Correct, and that would be in person.
18th in person.
Melissa, should I assume it's every 2 weeks for the rest of the year?
So it's the first and third Tuesdays of the month. So, yeah, because if you do every 2 weeks, if some weeks
Yeah.
have more than the 4 weeks, then yeah, so the first and third of the month. And we've decided, the board as a whole, it's the first meeting is remote, and then the second meeting of the
And
month
that's
would be the
Zoom, right?
third Tuesday would be in person. But ultimately can change at any point in time.
I know.
Cool, thank you.
Did you say April is the month that we renew membership?
Yes, so we would, is anyone up for renewal that they would
Yeah,
get?
just-
Yeah, so you just renewed, okay.
And I wasn't sure about.
So we will find out, so the board, the select board will be appointing a new member, based off of if Richard submits his renewal or not. So if not, it will go in, either way, it will go in front of the, Board of Selectmen next Tuesday, the 28th.
Okay. Have we heard anything from Dr.
No,
Brinkhurst?
no.
Nothing?
So at our April 4th meeting, we would have a new appointed board member and potentially could reorganize the board if wanted, or just to put it out there if anyone wants to. I know, Rachel, you kind of stepped up to the plate for
Yeah,
the clerk,
yeah.
so we can kind of put that on the table
And
too.
Mona wasn't here, so I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that she knew.
Yeah, so, well,
something
well, I
she
can put that
wanted.
on the agenda even on the
Yeah,
April
sure,
4th
that's a good
meeting,
idea.
and then that way we have a full board at the time. Cool.
Sounds good.
And did you tell them Dr. Bringhurst called?
I missed that.
No, so Dr. Bringhurst did call, when was that,
Is
Jen?
he gonna step down?
About a month ago, I would say.
About a month ago, about his recycling and trash. So Jen, you got a voicemail, or no, you spoke,
I spoke to him.
you spoke to him, yeah.
And he actually sounded really good. He said to say
Oh,
hello.
good.
Good,
Yeah,
Um,
so,
Yeah, he sounded much better than I expected.
good.
yeah,
That's great. Good.
yeah,
That's the important piece.
definitely.
All right, well, if there's
Good.
nothing else, we can make a motion to adjourn. Do we hear a second?
Second?
And we'll go. Rachel?
Aye.
Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
I also. So we will say meeting is adjourned, 8:03.
Perfect.
Great seeing you.